Hello and welcome to another Wave Talks About. Today we're playing Mission Improbable. This is the third map of Mission Improbable. I haven't gone through the other two just yet with an analysis or anything, but I thought I'd play through the last one because it's probably one of the... I'd probably say it's the best modded version of a Combine installation that you'll ever see. Visually it is absolutely stunning. It nails Valve's kind of like... as you might say, motifs for the Combine really well. It also just has its own spin on things. It's really well put together as well in terms of pacing. It's probably the best part of the mod, and it wasn't originally, I believe, in the original version of Mission Improbable. It's like a later add-on. But this really kind of does sell the mod to me. This is the map that really kind of makes it. And being its climactic map, it pulls off the climax really, really, really well. So we start off, it's pretty basic to begin with, there's nothing particularly exciting. We've got these square boxy rooms that lead into this sort of Combine installation, but the second you walk in, you are greeted with this absolutely stunning vista. But not only is it a stunning vista, you've got things that are moving, you can hear things in the distance, you can hear the winding machinery, you can see the trains being transported up and down. It's very much like the depot from the beta. In fact, I'd probably say this is better than I imagine Valve could have realized the beta depot. It is absolutely stunning. There's a lot of new custom props that are used for greebling. These props here are new for the mod. They're made by the mod maker. There's a few other larger pieces as well. I believe that piece over there, these wall pieces, are also a custom prop. Although I believe this is probably made in proper. Looking at it, seeing as it's pretty much just a bunch of brushes that seem to have been turned into a prop. But it's a really, really amazing rendition. And what I really love is the attention to detail. You can see the cables here are connected into the little sockets that are on the Combine panels on the wall there. So it's really, really well thought out. Absolutely beautiful architecture. And the environment space is really well used. It's a massive map, really, really, really long. But it's really cleverly utilized to ensure that it's well within the Source Engine's limits. And still looks awesome and amazing as you go through it. So as we descend, the best thing is the train waits for you so you can watch it descend with you, which I think is really cool as an aesthetic idea there. I think adding things like this to give your maps a bit more life is really important. Source engines naturally have a very liminal feeling, and this kind of storytelling really helps sort of bring them to life. One of the things you'll notice about this map is it uses very heavy color correction, and my personal opinion is that it is way too much. It makes everything way too blue. If you play the previous map, the color correction has a very dramatic swap from the previous one to this one, so it is quite jarring when you load up the level, especially if you've left the flashlight on. But in this level it's not too bad, but there are certain areas where it's very hard to see enemies and things look a little bit too dark because of the color correction. But for the most part, the color correction is beautiful, but it does hinder the map in some places, as you'll see. But it's a cool little addition. We've been spotted by the camera there, which will give us a little indication as to why we're going to be attacked soon, which is quite nice. What's really nice is the amount of glass that's being used as actual glass, as opposed to the glass flooring, which is really nice in this map. I think they use this really well. And it's very, very simple geometry that they've used, very kind of square shapes, to give off that Combine effect. But they have, it's very geometric and very brutalist, with little slight things at angles, just to kind of sell that sort of a utilitarian, monolithic style vibe for it too. Here's another new prop that they've made for the map, which is this railway track. I believe, again, it's probably made in proper. It's a very simple prop, just using the basic textures for Half-Life, but you couldn't really tell that it's not professionally made. It does look really, really nice. It's not totally aligned, the textures. It's a bit of a shame. Here we get our first combat sequence. And as you can tell from the pacing of that combat sequence, you've been given plenty of time to establish your surroundings first before you're thrown into any fighting. And I think that's really key, especially if you want to have a kind of an eerie atmosphere like the Combine facilities usually do. If you slow down the pace, let the players explore for a bit, and then jump into combat, it feels much stronger. So you can see a lot of verticality in the visuals here. They put a lot of things up high, with really high ceilings, with very odd brutalist style angles to things, very geometric again. Just really sells that kind of Combine feeling. The player's not likely to look up, but the fact that there's this glow from above that they can see, it really helps to sort of bring that visual to life. And the other thing I think this mod does really well, which you're about to see, is that it mixes things up as well. In the Citadel, I think things could get a little bit stale if you're in there for too long. I think it works well enough for Half-Life 2, it doesn't overstay its welcome. But in here they mix things up to make sure the visuals always stay fresh. So you head out into this cave area, which is kind of like a lush cave sort of vibe, Minecraft reference there I guess, which is full of like sort of a Zen-style vegetation, odd, very large, glowing fauna and flora. Actually, there's no fauna. That'd be cool if there was fauna, but there's only flora. But it's a really nice kind of addition to sort of make it feel just that little bit different. But you can still see the Combine architecture sort of jutting out and jutting into it in that same geometric, very brutalist style that Valve do. With these very cool doors that open up as well. I love this as well. You can explore the little area underneath. It feels like you could easily get stuck here, but most of the things here are these giant props that are essentially, they've got no collision on them. They're probably too big to have collision. And texture resolution isn't very good here, but this texture is often not designed to be looked at up close. But from a distance, it does look stunning. Really, really beautiful. This is probably where the blue hampers it a bit. The props themselves are very red. They're very rich in colour. And the blue colour correction does dilute that quite a lot, sadly. So you can't quite see the true beauty of it as much as you'd hope you could do. But yeah, the Combine architecture still is a standout, as you can tell. Just really, really nice shaping, really, really well designed. Again, there's very high lights they often have in Combine installations, which is nice and cool. Elevators are very consistent in this mod. You never have to use them yourself. They always activate, although there is one you have to activate yourself. It's quite nice if they all do the same thing, but it's alright in this case. There's only one that is different. And I love the glass they use here. It's a really cool use of glass, just to kind of make it feel a bit more unique, I guess, compared to other Combine installations that just use those doors that just slide upwards. Let me get our second combat encounter. This one's a bit more challenging. You're attacked from all sides, which does make things a little bit more difficult. This is my least favourite combat arena they have in the mod. It's a really cool location. But you've only really got one way of moving around it. You've got this one loop you can use to your advantage and hope the Combine AI just do something stupid on that loop so you can catch them off guard. But you're not really given much for space that you can utilise very well. The manhacks are good for keeping you on the move, which I think is encouraged in this mod. The arenas try and get you to move around quite a bit. If you play the rest of the maps in this little pack, a lot of them try and make you move around, and the manhacks are a great way to do that. They are a great incentive to make the player move around. Again, if you spend your time to have a look around the map, you can see all the interconnectedness of these areas. This is an area we're going to be visiting in a minute. What's nice is you can see that area beforehand if you choose to take your time and explore for a bit. One of the things this map doesn't do quite as well, so it is a great mod in terms of just studying visuals and how to build really good Combine architecture. One of the things it doesn't do too well is direct the player where they need to go next. You've just come out the lift here, you walk into this arena here, the Combine don't really arrive, oh that is low res, isn't it, until you're over here, and then you're kind of not quite sure where to go. Of course if you naturally follow the path of the other Combine come from, you'll go where you need to go, but it's difficult to kind of tell initially. What is really cool is some of the props that they've made for this mod do actually move and have little motions to it, which is again nice, giving it that feel of it being lived in and some sort of working machinery. Not got a bloody clue what these things are doing. I mean, it's just moving up and down, but you know, hey, it's cool. It's Combine shit. Combine shit can be whatever. These also move up and down as well, if you've spotted that before. This is a really nice additional prop for this big machine location, whatever is going on in here. But no, it's really well put together area in terms of visuals, but again, I think it could be improved a little bit more with a little bit more maneuverability for the player. Perhaps they could go through the gaps here, which they can kind of do, but you have to duck to do that. So it's not particularly conducive to the fast-paced, speedy gameplay they're encouraging with the use of manhacks and soldiers here. Let's move on to the next area. This is another slightly different one. With the door that opens this way, different kind of door. This is the classic prop door they use in Half-Life 2. Indicator that can go through it with a green light, which is a good use of it, but again, not always totally clear, as that's not always used throughout the mod. This area is gorgeous if you have a look at this. This is really nice visuals here. Again, splitting off from the blue with a bit of orange. Blue and orange, very classic combo. The blue and orange here just really sort of selling this kind of slight different location, but it's still in that same facility. It's slightly different, but it is still part of this same location. Nice variety of different stair types. You might notice that every time we meet stairs, they're going to be slightly different, which I think works surprisingly well. I thought it'd look a little bit mishmashy, but it does work really well. These ones do float though, which I did notice on my first playthrough, and I don't quite know why. But hey, whatever. So now we get to one of the puzzles of this mod, and again, this is another place where the mod doesn't do the telegraphing quite as well as it could do. It's quite easy to tell where you're going to go, because no other way to go other than along here. This is lit up quite nicely, these grates that you can walk across, these handy platforms that just look like they're inviting a jump. But what you do from here is quite difficult to tell. Now the puzzle, I do know the solution to, because I have played it before. But I have seen people play this mod where they just sort of sit here and get very lost as to what to do here. But you do have to park the two pods in the doorway, and it blocks the force field, which is a bit odd. But there we go. It is a cool puzzle idea. I don't know how well it is executed. We're being followed by a scanner. Bugger off, mate. And on we go to our next section. And what's quite nice is that these start to move on automatically again as well, so it blocks you from travelling on through. What's nice here is you get to see the next combat arena. This one is a much better designed combat arena, as you'll see as we play through it. First of all, we can get the drop on them before they spot us, which is always nice. And again, different style stairs, but they still work somehow. But you have a kind of figure of 8 that you can use to juke the Combine, which I think is really key for a fun Combine encounter. Because you don't really want to be stuck in a single loop having to fight them. Being hit scan enemies, the best way to sort of essentially dodge the bullets is to kind of get behind cover. And if you're getting behind cover as in you're just hiding behind cover, that's not really matching the Half-Life style of shooting. And I think the best way to do it is to let the player move around and utilize their speed, their ingenuity to find a way to get around them. So of course you have the little loop here. You also have the loop up here, and what's really nice here is you can jump over here to sort of help you in the combat scenario. So it works really well as a combat encounter, much better than the previous one, just due to the fact that it utilizes a figure of 8 as opposed to sort of essentially just one loop. And again, as we can see, there's a lot more varied visuals here. We get to see that view we saw from the top a minute ago. What you may not notice is that the bridge here is half prop-based, which is a prop just here, and then it transitions into this brush-based version, which almost seamlessly connects to the brush, to the prop. This is a really sort of clever way to utilize props that don't quite fit what you want them to do. Making brushwork sort of fit your props is a good way of kind of connecting them together, especially those old-style Half-Life 2 props, because a lot of them, they were designed, I imagine, with the Hammer units in mind, or potentially even designed in Hammer and then converted into models elsewhere, as they really seamlessly connect here, which is really nice. We have a kind of a general corridor here, again mixing it up, it's not too high this time, and then we've got this nice, again, motif of the 45-degree angle that the mod uses quite a lot to sort of emphasize that brutalist Combine design. One of the things I really like about this mod is the way they use the refractive glass. They use this quite a lot as a kind of a new addition to the Combine motifs. It's not one Valve uses, weirdly enough, but it is one I think that works really, really, really well in a Combine environment, because it's got a bit of a blue tint to it, which is great for sort of adding to that blue feeling. But it also just kind of gives off that very sci-fi kind of feel to it as well. Very textured look to it. Progression for this mod has you go down this way, and again, this is a little bit of a lesson in poor player signaling as to where to go. You've got this sort of ledge here you've come across to, and you might imagine this is just where you go to get your health, and then you've got to come back and find a different way. But you can't go that way, you have to jump down. I think there's a spotlight pointing onto here that was just over here. So the player would come along, they'd look at the vista and they'd see the spotlight pointing down here. That might give the players a little bit more of an incentive to jump down. There is a light on here, but it's just in the wrong place. I think if you just place it up here, one of those Combine lights, it would work much better, and it would enable the player to hopefully see where they need to go a little bit easier. There's some really nice Combine architecture in the corridors, and even this is a corridor that you're not going to be using, it's still utilised really nicely with the different shades of the Combine metal, the classic light inside the brush over there, using the... I believe for most of these lights they'll use either the Combine lights, which are like a light blue kind of haze, or they use the, I think it's like lbout, which is a texture in the Hammer Edster that's basically like an old style Half-Life 1 texture, where the texture itself has the light built into it, and everywhere you place that texture, the light will be emitted. This is the only elevator you have to press the button for. You get to use it twice though, so it is a little bit different, this one. But it's probably because we have to go back up, I imagine that's why they do it. Then we have this other massive vista we get to explore, which is the view of the main chasm. This is absolutely beautiful. I really love the way the props are animated here. The cables slightly strain and bend as they turn, which is really, really nice. You get to look down at all the Zen fauna and flora down there. Well, again, just flora. Using the words in the wrong way there. And they've got this very cool Combine bridge, and it's all beautifully textured as well. Everything's really nicely done. They align the textures really, really well. Although, again, I'm not too sure about this element here. I think you could definitely align these better so you have the trims along the edge. So it does look a little bit odd from some angles, this particular part. But, again, it's a minor flaw in an otherwise flawless visual presentation. So we come across this train. It's kind of the only thing you can really interact with down here. And you can see the artillery launch button here, which is what we've been told to sort of we've been told to make a distraction anyway, so this is a good distraction. So we'll do that, we'll press that, and then it'll signal off our next battle. As I press the button, I'm going to look up here, because you'll get to see some really cool visual destruction events in a minute. As part of the mod, you get to actually launch them. It's such a great addition. But it does damage the facilities. It's really cleverly done. Some of it's just done through rocks falling down. You can see some of the platforms have actually taken some damage, which is no mean feat, I can tell you that, to implement. So, good job to them. Now this essentially is probably the best designed arena in the game. It has a lot of space for you to move around, but also a lot of cover. You've got these little Combine barriers around each of the fences, which is great for you to take cover from the fight ahead. You can juke enemies, enemies can juke you. And I think that's the key to making these kind of battles fun, because the Combine AI is only as good as the environment you put them in. You can put them in a very simple corridor, and they'll feel really boring to fight. They won't feel very exciting. The AI won't get a chance to show off its clever squad mechanics. It's difficult to kind of explain the squad mechanics, but essentially you want to have a big area because they'll order each other to move around in different ways, and they'll order each other to attack you at different times whilst others will set up another ambush. It's quite clever to watch, and if you probably watch back on the footage, you'll notice that a few of them stay back, some of them push forward. It is designed to work in a larger space than it is in a smaller space. This is a perfectly designed arena for almost a climactic battle here. And what's nice now is you can see some of that damage in real life. You can see some of the damage here. You can see some of the head crabs that have been spawned. See your head crab, buddy. I was hoping they'd both jump off, but that didn't happen. Never mind. And of course we can see this shield's now been disabled because we've got the canister in here, which is quite nice, I think, having those kind of things. Probably want a little bit more of a smoke trail, because again, as you can tell from the colour correction, it is really dark. You can't tell this has now been hit and this is now deactivated very well. You can see the shield's not there quite well. But I think we had a bit more smoke, a bit more sparks, a bit more flames coming from here. It definitely indicates this is the way to go a little bit more. I've got to be careful in these next few seconds because we're not really given the tools to deal with what's ahead totally. So our lift's coming down for us here, which is quite nice once we head around there. Once the lift gets down, we've got another zombie to deal with. Oh, he's got that. That's great. Let's leave him to blow himself up. Oh no, he dropped it. This is another different elevator design. I think it actually works surprisingly well, having all these different styles of elevator, all these different styles of staircases, different styles of ladders and walls. It weirdly works really well in this mod. What's nice is you can watch the facility fall apart after you've activated the canisters in there, sending the head crabs throughout the facility. Just lots of little bits of visual storytelling, which I think is just really key to making a map work. This section is my least favourite. You get this kind of ambush of two of them. They're not the quickest things to kill. So you're a bit stuck on what to do. Probably could have done better with a shotgun there, not quite sure. And again, we've got different stairs here, you might notice again as well. These are sort of these weird slanted ones that have got a little bit of an angle to it. Really cool design, but again, something totally different from what we've previously seen. Thankfully, we're given some nice elk here to help us out. What you might notice here is we're in another area which we've visited before, but we're coming back into it from a different direction. And again, we can see the Combine fighting it out with zombies, which is really nice to see. So you can choose to watch for a bit, as I am now, or of course you can choose just to move on and engage them yourself. Hi friends. Which is more of a threat, Gordon Freeman? Or the Zombies? You pick, dude. Pick wisely. Now we're going to head along up here. Again, this is another place where I know where to go, but if you're just wandering around here, with the lighting, you've got the sparks here, which is quite useful, but it is kind of hard to see with the colour correction, with the lack of a spotlight on the area you need to go forward. If you play any Half-Life game by Valve, you'll notice the spotlights on areas you need to go almost seamlessly, and your brain will just naturally head in that direction because, you know, we probably evolved from like a moth or something. But it works surprisingly well to notice where you're going. This one I know where to go because I've played it before, but on the first time playing this, I did not know where to go here. I was a little bit confused there. And again, for this part here, again, I know where to go. I've got to go across these beams. But again, it's not totally obvious. So I think this is definitely its weaker element. It's just the where do you go part. But the visuals, consistently, as you can tell, are fantastic. Now you might think this is an area we've been to before. This is technically not the area we've been to. I believe is over there. But what we have got just here is a similar area on that same track. It's part of the same line, but our exit point, the first part of the map was over there. Our exit point here is just here. We get to descend up a ladder. Go to our next part of the map. And what I believe this prop is called, this is a fun one, this is called the world's longest ladder. It's really cool. It's a very long ladder. It's very cool. What's nice is now, is whilst we were originally going down the elevator watching the trains go down, we're now watching trains fall down, which I think is fantastic, because it's just a way of really selling this facility has been completely torn to bits by the head crab canisters and by your actions previously. And again, you can continue to watch people fight in the distance. They're coming through where you started off. And again, it's just really well reused areas. You can watch the areas you've been in. You can see there are zombines up there. The Combine are fighting them over there. They can't fight you, but you get to watch the combat happening if you want to. And I think it just works so well to sell the fact this facility is just falling apart completely. And again, another entirely different style elevator, but equally a cool one. I love the way the light is just on the doorway just there. These are mostly done, I believe, with a Funk Move Linear, as opposed to a Funk Track Train. Not quite sure why they did that. It seems to work for them, and it probably is more optimal, I can imagine. And we get a nice view of the Citadel. We can see the Combine have spotted us, but we can't shoot them. There's glass there. We're now at the very top of the depot. You can look out here and we can go, oh, pigeon. This is cute. But yeah, we're in the open air now. This is not inside the depot, this is in the open top part. And we get to walk along here, and then we'll get the final battle of the mod now. Visually, this whole area is stunning, and it's all brush-based as well. This is a surprisingly large building to be brush-based. It's not in the skybox at all. And I would look back up to see it, which you can just about see, but of course, we've got to avoid the helicopter for the time being. Hopefully not run out of oxygen, but no, the building is absolutely stunning. It's very much based on, I believe, the Beta Depot. Problem is you can't always hear it shooting when you're under the water, which is a shame. You can't tell how long you've got to be safe. Thankfully we had all that health to use. So now we have the helicopter fight. But this is again another really clever part of the mod, and I don't want to spoil things too much, but if you've not played it, I'd almost recommend just stopping the video now, because this next bit is really fun. I'm sure somebody just can't bother to wait. We'll just watch this as well. But I really love the way they kind of twist the final boss battle. You head down here, got your ammo crate, you're ready to take it on, and then shit. That's nothing. Helicopter lines up to take his final shot. And one final beautiful twist. Deus Ex Machina, we're rescued by Stephen Hawking. Get a nice look at the building there as well.
Good thing we heard the commotion. No time for small talk. Let me help you out. Stand back from the door. I am going to open it. Follow me.
Whoa. So yeah, really, really beautiful building that they built for it. Really, really well designed. Stunning structure. Very Combine. But they've also built all of this as well on the same map. This entire section over here is also all mapped out with displacement and brushwork. It's a really, really well put
Welcome
together
to
mod.
travel with us.
Squeak.
Oh shoot.
And there we go. That is Mission Improbable. Hopefully you enjoyed this little look at the final map of Mission Improbable, and it's a fantastic art design and pacing. Again, it's meant to be a kind of a critical video, so obviously it's trying to look at some of the things that do well, some things that don't do well. I think the visuals are absolutely stunning, and if you want to look at good combine architecture and how to build a good combine facility, this is the mod to look at. But when it comes to obviously things like signaling to the player where to go, there are better examples from other mods to look at, but it does have some fantastic arenas you can learn from as well. That final combat arena with the hunters around the train is absolutely stunning bit of game design that works so well. Some of the earlier ones, they're a bit hit and miss, but it's a great mod for just really looking at how to design architecturally a really nice looking combine environment, and hopefully also just take some good ideas for just what to do to reuse a level cleverly as well, because the level is revisited in so many sides and directions, and it helps to reduce just the amount of brushwork you got to do. It helps reduce the amount of entities you got to use. It's very cleverly put together. So yeah, huge props to the makers of this one. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.